Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Inside the Race with Orbital Racing. Today we're going to take you inside the Whiskey City Challenge in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, where Joel rode the Cat 4-5 race, and our oldest son actually did the juniors race. Though it's not in the video, he did a really good job and we're really proud of him. So the Whiskey City Challenge was put on by Queen City Wheels, and it was a really great race, and we look forward to getting into the race with you, and so let's get to it.
Okay, so here's the beginning of the race. One thing I will say about this video is, for one, I completely forgot to turn my computer on for several laps, so you're not going to see the power kick in until however many laps in it was that I turned my computer on. And the other kind of technical issue we had was the GoPro camera during some portions of this race got tilted down, and I didn't realize it for a while, and then I would manually, I would pull it back up. So we'll just kind of talk about these first couple of laps. There was a crash on lap number 2 that we'll look at, and then when the camera is pointing down and the footage isn't great, that's when I'll probably talk a little bit about what I felt like I did wrong and what I corrected for my next race. Which my next race after this race was a week later, and it was one of our Orbital Crit series. And the lessons learned I took coming out of this and how I changed my week leading up to the race and the day of race nutrition and stuff like that, it was a night and day difference in how I felt. So I don't know if how much of that was contributed to that, the changes I made, and how much of it was just timing and all that stuff, but it made a big difference.
So here you are coming into turn 4 of the first lap.
Mm-hmm.
And how the field was about 30-40 deep? Was it more than that?
I want to say it was more than that, but I don't remember the final numbers in the 4-5.
So they were saying that on the course it was registering about 102. What I heard the announcer saying, and so you'll see coming up here on turn 2, right?
Yeah.
It narrows.
Yeah.
Down.
In fact, we're coming up on it now. Turn 2 of the second lap. We'll just let it roll through in regular speed, and then we'll reverse it and go through in slow motion. But what you'll see on the right side of your screen is a pretty bad crash, and that was...
All right, let's go backwards and look at that.
Let's go back and look in slow motion at what happened. Okay, if I had to take a guess at what happened here, I could have sworn I heard a pedal strike, and then I heard an awful noise of carbon fiber, scratching along the pavement. I'm not 100% sure what happened here, but unfortunately a lot of it's blocked by this guy next to me.
His handlebars.
But that guy right there went over his handlebars, and then if you look at the guy right in front of him, you can see as he is headed towards the curb, he completely lets go of his handlebars and kind of reaches out towards the barrier to try to catch himself. I really hope these guys are okay and didn't have serious injuries. I think there was definitely some, I think at least one of them got taken off on an ambulance. I want to say
people taken off by ambulance.
Yeah, definitely throughout the day. There was multiple crashes throughout the day. I think I want to say there was multiple crashes in this race, but that was probably the worst one. So
at least the one we caught on video, that was really bad. And early in the race.
Yeah, that was second lap. So anyways, that kind of distracted me, opened up a gap. I did a little kind of sprint to catch back up, and here we are back with the group. This is, for the most part, this is how this race went. I was actually really surprised that in a race like this that there wasn't a group that really attacked and went off the front. The peloton stays together for the most part. There was a little attacks here and there, but it seemed like everybody was just trying to conserve their energy for for the field sprint at the end.
Well, you also had preems that people were sprinting for.
Yeah, that's true. There were some preem sprints, but like, I mean, this was one of the better payout races, so I'm sure people wanted to win. I thought coming into this there would be a breakaway, but you know, what do I know? So here we go over the railroad tracks. And you'll.
So here the camera starts falling. You can
Yeah,
kinda
you can
tell
kind of tell it's starting
to sag. So then there it goes. All you see is people wheels and feet.
Yeah, we apologize for this.
So, I mean, that's part of technical difficulties, right? So talk a little bit about the course. It's a four-corner crit.
Four-corner crit, yep.
You know, they did a great job of blocking it off. There was a police moto ahead of you guys. So made sure no cars, no disruptions.
Yep.
And how was the road conditions? Like, was it a well road? Were there holes? You know, you've talked about.
Yeah, I mean, like you can see it here. It's pretty standard streets. You go over the railroad tracks twice per lap, but the road conditions were good. The roads were wide enough. There was enough room. There's really no reason for all the crashes other than people kind of just taking bad lines and you know.
Hey, look, you got power.
Oh no, here comes my power. I finally decided to turn that on, and you see a gap again. So it's kind of weird too, is like people are so spread out. I had a bad strategy. I was coming into this, already knew I wasn't feeling great, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna just sit in the pack and conserve as much energy and just see how I feel, and then towards the end of the race try to move up and try to get in good position for the last few laps. The bad part about being on the back of any crit race is it's more dangerous because there's a higher likelihood that a crash is going to happen in front of you and then could potentially take you out. B, you know, you have four corners in this race every single lap, and when you're close to the back, you're getting much more of a surge effect coming out of every corner, so you're burning more energy coming out of every corner, whereas the guys in the front are taking their preferred lines and pedaling smoothly through it and not having to surge as much. And if there had been a big attack, it would have been really hard for me to go with it from way back here. So the great thing about trying to stay towards the front of the pack is basically the reverse of all the points I just made, and that's kind of what I did in the next race I raced in. I felt good, and I tried to stay, really close to the front without being on the front. I wanted to avoid spending a bunch of energy, pulling on the front in the wind, because, I'm alone. I don't have a team, so there's no team tactics going on for me or anything like that. I'm trying to race the smartest race as possible, and I definitely didn't do that here. I did a lot of things wrong. Yeah, and looks like I corrected a little bit, but not really, so maybe not. So yeah, I guess while the camera's still down, my week leading up to the race, I did have a plan. I did not stick to the plan very well. I cooked myself a lot more than I was supposed to. The way I get my training in is I commute into work, and so I get 2 rides a day. And one of the things I was doing is on my hard day, I went hard in the morning, but then in the evening, instead of just kind of riding zone 2, keeping it easy and not putting a bunch of extra fatigue in, I ended up going really hard on the ride home as well, and just kind of like time trialing it all the way back, and ended up putting more fatigue into my legs than I wanted to. And then I didn't do my, let's see, that was probably like, I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday. I also took 2 days off going into this week.
Yeah, you did.
And
so it's a Saturday race.
So anyways, like I didn't stick to my plan on the week leading up to the race. Day of race, my plan was to get up, eat an early breakfast so that I would be hungry enough to eat a lunch before we left, because we were going to leave at around 11, I want to say, or something like that, to get out to this race. It's about over an hour drive away. I did not do that either. Like, slept in. You know, we were watching a neighbor's dog, and that dog kept us up all night, so it just happened to be bad timing. But I ended up sleeping in, eating a late kind of just bowl of cereal, and then I didn't get to eat lunch before heading out to the race. And then when I got there, I ate like a little peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and it just did not sustain me. I drank a real sugary drink leading up to right before my race, and then I ate one of the gel bars that has this super potent sugary, and like I'll tell you, the last lap of the race, I felt like I was gonna throw up. Even though like I didn't feel like it was that hard of a race, because as you can see, the group just stays together. And I was just kind of hanging out towards the back.
But you don't
I didn't feel
consume,
good.
like, you're really good about your sugar intake because you have
Yeah.
your, what do you use? I forget.
Maltodextrin.
Maltodextrin. So you usually are really good about mixing your maltodextrin and your water so that you have the correct
Salt,
ratio and the
yeah,
salt and all
yeah.
that. And so by taking that gel, your body's not used to taking those gels though, because you
Yeah.
don't
It wasn't
typically
even a
do
gel.
that.
It was a big
Those
old
chews.
chewy
Yeah.
gummy bar. And you don't really need that for a race that's 30 minutes. You just don't. So I modified all of that stuff for my next race. So my next race was a Friday race, and let's see, I took notes. The Monday before the Friday race, I did a rest day, full rest. Tuesday, I did 3 sets of 3 1-minute efforts at a high intensity. So you do 1 minute on, and then I took 1 minute off, and then did 1 minute on, 1 minute off, and did 3 of those. Took like a 4 or 5 minute break in between sets, and then did the 1 minute on, 1 minute off. Did that second set, and then I did a third set, and that was during my morning ride. In the evening ride coming home, I just rode easy, basically like zone 2, zone 1, 2. Friday, I rode easy, and by easy in this case, I mean as much zone 1, like actual recovery ride as possible. So when you're doing a recovery ride, it's really easy to go harder than you should. It's really easy to go zone 2 and think you're still doing a recovery ride, and zone 2 is not a recovery ride. So you have to go easy enough that it's almost like you didn't ride, you didn't put any fatigue, but you're at least getting, you know, some cycles in on your legs, so there could be some benefit there, but you don't want to add fatigue during a recovery ride. And then, let's see, and then I did, the day before the race, which would have been Thursday, I did some leg openers. Like I did 5 15-second sprints with like 4 minutes of recovery in between each of the sprints, and that just helped prime my legs for the Friday race without, you know, adding a ton of fatigue in. So the 5 15-second sprints, and then other than that, just zone 2 steady state ride. Day of race, nutrition. Got up, ate some home cooked oatmeal with some fruit for breakfast. Then for lunch, I had a good lunch, a good nutritious lunch. I had like chicken fajitas with veggies and all that stuff. I had a second cup of
Oh, you
coffee.
fixed the.
Yeah. I had a second cup of coffee, so I actually had the caffeine for the race. About an hour before the race, I had maybe like a snack bar or banana, and I also drank my sugary electrolyte drink more than an hour. I finished it more than an hour before my race, and then leading up to the race, I just drank water. And water, you know, out there in the heat, setting up the course and all that stuff, the water was really refreshing and felt good. Like, and then during the race, I didn't drink any sugar or anything like that. During the race, I just had cold water, and it was so refreshing. I felt great. I actually raced 2 races in a row. I raced the 4-5 and then the 3-4 right after. And in both races, I held good position during the race. And unfortunately, I wasn't wearing the GoPro during those races. I did not podium because
I won't let you.
the last couple laps I didn't finish as strong as I could have.
Yeah.
But it was a night and day difference, at least in how I felt.
So you had moved up here in the video a
So
little
back
bit.
to the race. Sorry for that.
You moved up a little bit. You got a sprint going on because I believe there's a preem going down right now. So you saw the guys who sprint for preems. They had some pretty good preems. They had whiskey preems, of course, Whiskey City, and then some really good beer preems. So you had moved up for a little bit. Looked like you were in about position 5, and now you've dropped back. You didn't really respond to the sprint.
There was a lap where I did go to the front, and I don't remember what lap that is. We'll see it here. Hopefully we didn't already miss that, but yeah, there was a lap where we came down the home stretch and everybody just kind of set up and was going slow, and all I did was just pedal through I kept a steady pace, and I went to the front, and I went off the front for like half a second, you know, and then I was like, what am I doing?
I know afterwards you were like, do you see me out the front? I was like, no, because I was dealing with our kids. Front. I was like, oh, sorry, missed that.
I don't think I said that, but okay.
Yes, you did.
That was after the orbital race. That was after this last orbital race.
No.
Not during the Whiskey City race.
During the Whiskey City race, you asked me, did you see I was off the front? It was during the orbital race.
I don't think I would have bragged about that.
No, you saw, no, because you asked me, you're like, did you see me? I went off the front, and I was like, nope, I didn't.
So I definitely didn't go off the front the way we usually say it. I was on the front for like 10 seconds.
Cycling.
Yeah. I'm not gonna give myself credit for doing anything good in this race. Let's put it that way.
Besides finishing it.
Yeah. So I will say that this was my first
big race.
This was my 3rd race of the season, first actual big race outside of our little grassroots series. So
yeah.
I was nervous, and I just wanted to see how I felt, and I didn't want to get dropped by the whole group. So
you didn't get lapped.
I didn't get dropped. I didn't get lapped.
You didn't get pulled because they were pulling guys, right?
Yeah, I mean there's a big range in as you often get in Cat 4-5 races. There's a pretty big range in abilities out there.
Yeah, because some of these guys that are in here racing also race in our Orbital Crit series.
Oh, and there towards the latter laps, there was another interesting thing. It was right there. Yeah. Let's back this up and turn the sound up on this, because I get cursed out a little bit, like right here in this corner. So here we come coming in, and you see there's this gap right here that I take, and then this guy, to me it looks like he came off his line and ran into me.
And then you got cursed out by
and
that guy.
Yeah, if you go in slow motion, you'll see that we all bump elbows. I get kind of pinched in between these two guys, and this.
I think you were on your line. I think they came off their lines. I think
the Equifax guy, like, he came into me. We hit elbows. I started going whoa, and he bumps into me, and I bump into the Queen City guy, and then he pulls out and he goes, what the fuck are you doing, man? You know, pardon my language. And I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything because I'm not 100% sure what just happened, but I felt like I held my line and he didn't. So I could be wrong.
But I feel like the Queen City guy also came over to you, and you had to respond to that.
I don't know. It was.
Sure.
I felt like it was more that guy coming into me, and
because he just appears out of nowhere.
But yeah, right? Yeah, you can rewind that, watch it again. If I was wrong, I apologize. My bad. But I don't know. You guys, I would love to hear, anybody who watches this, give me your opinion on this, because either way, not cool to like cuss at somebody unless they do something really, really stupid.
Like, you guys didn't touch wheels, you didn't take each other out. Like, it was around a corner.
So anyways, it is what it is. People get their emotions high in these races. I was just trying to keep my head down in a race, so I moved on with life here.
But you did look pretty slick.
Well, yeah, I didn't represent very well, but at least, I didn't do well, but at least I looked good doing it, right? So
yeah.
The New Jerseys came
the
night before the race. So got to represent the New Jersey.
Got some pictures,
That's
those
pretty cool.
pro pictures of you in that
Yeah.
jersey,
Yeah,
man.
there you go.
That's gonna be your new profile picture on our website.
Yeah, there you go.
We need to get those.
Okay, so yeah, not a ton to talk about. Like I said, the group stayed together.
I have to
Not very organized, you know. It overall, it just I felt like if I had been on good, you know, felt really good. I don't know. I'm surprised that people didn't attack more than they did. That's all.
I do have to say, it always like freaked me out when you would come by if you were so close to the barriers. Like that freaks me out just as a spectator and stuff. But I wanted to know, did you hear me cheering you on?
I did.
You could?
Yes.
So I was like, yeah, baby, go, get it. I'm like, cheering you on. I was trying to.
It's always appreciated. All right, so who all do we have represented in this race? There's a guy in front of me from
University of Cincinnati.
Yeah, University of Cincinnati. Obviously, there was Queen City. You had some Upland Brewing guys. You had the two Equifax guys in this race.
You had Loco Racing, who's come and raced in ours a couple times. Al Dente Racing, I saw.
Yep. There was, I thought there was was there University of
Purdue? No, there wasn't. There was Purdue University. There was a couple of Purdue guys. And then you had a lot of guys, like Joe here in the orange, who races in our series.
Yeah.
But he's just non-group racer.
Joe,
He doesn't have. Yeah, he doesn't have.
Unaffiliated.
Unaffiliated. Thanks.
Yeah, and this Queen City guy, I'm not 100% sure who it is, but I've been behind him in a couple of races, and then we've gone back and watched these videos. Like, dude, I think your seat might be too high. I don't know. I might not be right about that. I could be completely wrong, but just looking at your pedal dynamics, and you know,
the rocking of the hips.
Yeah, it just seems like your hips and back are doing some movement that is not that you don't see as often. So I don't know if it's something else. Sorry. But if you haven't gotten a bike fit, or I don't know, it just looks to me like his seat's too high because he's rocking his hips. So who knows?
Then again, we are the ones who like watch people as they ride by and go, ooh, their seat needs to be raised or whatever, right? Like, but you could just tell there was something off about his stride. Right? Because we're watching from behind.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe he went and got a professional bike fit, and that was the best fit for him. Who knows?
Yeah.
It looks different. So, Gisalo was in this as well.
Oh, Gisalo.
Tim.
Yeah, Tim Smith was.
Shane.
Did Shane ride in this? No, Shane.
Oh no, he was in the 3-4. That's right.
Tim Smith was in that because there
See those socks? That's the Al Dente guy, right? He's wearing our socks that we gave out.
He's wearing the socks he won from the race the week before.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah. It does look like the orange neon socks.
It's good to see that our swag's going
to
a good cause.
You were wearing our swag too. You had
I was wearing the American flag socks.
Because we had some left over.
Yeah.
I always try to make sure that Joel gets extra, that we have leftovers for Joel. That's why.
I'm the lowest priority though.
He's the lowest priority though. He sometimes doesn't get it. But yeah, so we've got, there's the same guy, Equifax guy, or a different one?
No, one of the Equifax guys, it wasn't the guy who yelled at me. I think it was the other one.
To the fence. He's still in it.
No, I think that was his teammate.
No? Are you sure?
I guess I'm not 100% sure, but I didn't think he came back in. Maybe.
No, maybe.
Who knows? Was it? Oh yeah, one of the other Equifax guy actually won the race, I think.
But we're not that close. Well, no, he might be up front, closer up front. He was wearing a white.
Who?
The one who won. It was a white Equifax. He wasn't in the black like that guy was wearing. Black kid.
Really?
Yeah. But it's really cool to see a lot of these guys who are non-affiliated just out there racing, right? They're giving it a go. They're trying just as solo out there.
I mean, that's technically how I am, right? Like, I don't have a team. We like Orbital Racing. I put the Orbital Racing name, when I sign up for races, but we do not run an adult
No, we have our junior race team, but we don't have an adult.
we're kind of purposely staying unaffiliated with a race team at this point, as an event organizer and stuff like that. What we do have is a juniors race team.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of fun, getting the kids out on the bikes and teaching them how to ride in a pace line and all that stuff.
It's been so great watching all the kids racing.
We've seen a huge difference in how they ride, because the first several races, the kids were just racing as individuals. They were just on their own, riding their bikes around the course. And now they work as a team. They ride in a pace line. They take turns on the front, and then eventually somebody attacks, and all that stuff. So
speaking of attacks, looks like you got one going on here that you're trying to keep up with.
Yeah, it was surgy, because like it's 4 corners, right? Like if you look at my power profile, there's a lot of spikes, but yeah, that's kind of what happens when you stay at the back like this. So like we were saying earlier, if you can ride up towards the middle to front of the pack, you can conserve more energy, take better lines through the turns, and when you're towards the front, if someone attacks, like you can be on top, you can get on top of that, and you can respond if you should decide to. You shouldn't, go with every single attack necessarily, but if there's a guy who has a tendency to attack and be successful, if it's a good attack that you think might stick, you want to go with it if you can.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that from back here, because look how many people are in front of me right now.
Mm-hmm.
If a guy in the middle to front of the pack decided to attack, I would have no chance of going with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the camera's starting to go down again, unfortunately. Yeah, so sorry it's not the most exciting race ever. I really wish I had gotten footage of the next race I did, because I felt like I was more right there in the action for both of those races. So my plan is from now on just to wear the GoPro by default, so that we can decide whether we want to do a video on it or not. But
wherever you go now, besides riding.
There we go, I corrected it right there.
Yeah. Besides going to work, you're just going to have a GoPro.
No, I mean for races.
I know, I said everywhere you go as being funny.
Yeah.
Because you do go on like 40-mile rides on your own.
Yeah, that would be some boring footage.
It would be real boring. I don't know, it's a pretty, when I went for my ride, it's such a pretty area.
Yeah.
Kilcare is about the only exciting thing on it. Watching the car racing. So yeah, we should be coming up towards the end here. Yeah, we're getting to...
Well, we're at mile 9.1.
Well, yeah.
So it should just be a couple more laps, 2 or 3 more laps.
I can't see the lap counter when you go by. Where is the lap counter? Looks like 2.
2 laps.
I think I saw 2.
Yeah.
Why can't they ever... You can't ever see the lap counter well. I mean, I do, because I'm standing right there at the officials, but like,
you can
on
see
our
it.
videos, sometimes you can't see it. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's just my eyeballs. My vision. I have bad vision. Well, that's an interesting kit. I didn't see that guy. Bright orange. No, I think that's the guy who hit the barriers and he stayed in.
Okay.
I really do.
Take your word for it.
Okay. Oh, Brilliant Advice was in this too.
Oh,
that
yeah,
is
yeah. Todd Robinson was in it.
Robinson, yeah.
I can't remember who else from Brilliant Advice was in this one.
Oh.
That's Todd Robinson.
That's Robinson.
Up there.
Robinson. The
Oh,
other
that
one
was probably Alex Schultz.
Alex Schultz. Thank you.
Yeah,
he rides the
I
white
think he was
bike.
in that one.
Yeah. I knew that didn't sound right. I was like, I thought that guy, he was wearing a long sleeve kit, and I'm like, dude, you gotta be dying. I was standing out there just hot, period.
Yeah, it was like
Not even riding.
the heat coming off the pavement felt like 120 or something like that.
They said it was 202 coming off the
202?
pavement. Yeah.
Okay.
Because, like, that was the worst. So here's the final lap.
No,
Fine.
Are you sure this isn't it? No, this is...
No, this is final lap.
Okay.
I think, yeah. And so,
Yeah, so there was an attack there. Somebody...
yeah.
In fact, it's the Equifax guy, I think, that's on the front right now that just did that attack. That
Yeah.
you said he had a white jersey.
He had
That
a
guy
white
had a white
jersey.
jersey. So I just hung out on the back the whole time, and now I'm still in the back on the last lap. If I wanted to have any chance of doing good in this race, at least by like the second to last lap, if not the third or fourth, I should have been up to the front matching any kind of attacks, you know.
Yeah.
I should have been up there.
You
and
can
so,
tell you're really sprinting, that you're standing and sprinting just by the way the
oh,
video
I'm not,
moves.
yeah, you could tell I
trying to
stood
keep
up,
up,
but
you can
I
tell,
would not
yeah.
call that a sprint.
Well, no, you know, you're trying to like
So
get out
obviously,
of the saddle at least.
I just, you know,
I love all the people on the sides there just chilling, watching.
poor showing, but hey, it's experience. I learned a lot
Mhm.
that I took into my next race and felt a lot better. So, Whiskey City, I'm coming for you next year. It's gonna be
We're getting a
different.
hotel room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We're not doing what we did.
Yeah.
We're gonna stay there.
So here's
Here's the sprint.
I started
You're
to sprint,
finished.
and I got past a couple guys, and I was like, okay, they're not trying anymore, so I'm not really either. I'm just gonna hold this spot because, you know, I was like,
Yep.
whatever place towards the back. Yeah. So here's and now
Your cool
here's
down.
my cool down. I'm like,
I'm dead.
that was not good.
Yeah. At least this time when you came off, you didn't tell me, call 911, I'm dead.
Well,
So thanks for not
joking.
doing that.
But I mean, my first two races I wasn't disappointed in because like I tried to do the right thing. I tried to be towards the front. I went hard in the beginning.
Your injury.
Yeah, I was not expecting to like win or anything coming off a bad injury, you know.
And it's also our races. You're not allowed to win in that.
But like I at least tried to do good in those two races, and in this race, for whatever reason, I had in my mind, all right, I'm just gonna sit towards the back, see how it felt. I felt like crap, and then I just sat in the back the whole time. So I was a little disappointed at the end because like, man, I just did nothing, you know. But everybody has those days. Everybody's gonna have those days. So you just have to learn from them and move on. It's not like I'm racing in the World Tour. It's Cat 4-5 race, so no big deal. We'll learn from it, and we'll hopefully keep the training consistent and come back next year and do really well at Whiskey City. So
I think we just also didn't know what necessarily to expect, right? Just didn't realize how close we were to the river, the humidity, the heat. You know, everything plays a factor in it, right?
Yeah.
It's not just the nutrition, but it's also the environmental factors, the sleep issue. I mean, both of us were like,
didn't bring enough water, you know.
didn't bring enough water.
Dehydrated.
And that's why
sweating.
I'm saying, if we stayed at the hotel and had a hotel room where we could have gone and cooled off and had all what we needed, right?
I mean, I think it came down more to just not executing a good plan and sticking to it and not making
Yeah.
sure I was ready to go, and it was just one of those days.
Yep, it
So,
happens, you know, right? And we were really proud of our son, though. This was his first big race, and he raced in it, and though he came in dead last, extremely proud of him, how hard he worked, and he did it. I mean, he finished the race. He came off
He hung
really
he hung
hot.
with the other kids for
He
a
did.
bunch of laps, and
He did.
let me tell you, those kids had bikes that were more expensive and higher end
I
than my
know.
bike,
They had
and they had
speed suits.
They had skin suits, they had zip wheels, you know, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
those kids, and they were older, so, you know, Andrew did well.
Andrew did really well.
Andrew got 0 warm up.
That's true, because we arrived there so late.
All right.
and
Well,
stuff. But
anyways, well, thanks guys for listening. Look forward to doing some more videos in the near future. Hope you guys had a great season, and hope to see you out at one of our last two orbital crit series. We have one coming up
August 7th.
this weekend on August 7th, and then we have another one on August 21st. Hope to see you guys out there. It's a great opportunity to come out if you've never raced before and just try it out. It's a grassroots, low pressure, and it's great for training if you're more experienced. It's great training. So hope to see you out there.